Amanda's day began like any other Thursday. The pre-dawn chill nipped at her exposed skin as she loaded the final packages into her delivery van. The rhythmic thump-thump of boxes hitting the metal floor was a familiar soundtrack to her mornings. Her route, etched in her mind after countless repetitions, snaked through the quiet, tree-lined streets of Oakhaven. Today's manifest listed 127 deliveries, a heavy load, even for her. She sighed, the pressure already building. Amanda wasn't unhappy with her job, it paid the bills. But lately, a subtle restlessness had been creeping in. She'd catch herself staring out the van window, a vague longing for something more tugging at her. She was listening to a classic rock station, tapping her fingers on the steering wheel, lost in a daydream about finally taking that weekend trip to the mountains. Oakhaven was a picturesque suburb, a mix of older, well-maintained homes and newer, more modern constructions. Giant oaks, their leaves just beginning to turn, cast long shadows across manicured lawns. Amanda knew many of the residents by sight, exchanging quick waves and nods as she made her deliveries. Mrs. Henderson always left out a bottle of water for her. Old Mr. Peterson would sometimes offer gardening tips. These small interactions were the bright spots in her often monotonous routine. Today, however, something felt different. A strange unease settled over Amanda as she drove. It wasn't anything specific, just a prickling sensation at the back of her neck, a sense of anticipation that she couldn't shake. The sky, which had been a clear, crisp blue, suddenly clouded over. A gust of wind rattled the van, scattering leaves across the windshield. Amanda shivered, not entirely from the sudden drop in temperature. It felt ominous. The first encounter happened at 42 Maple Drive. It was a modest, two-story house with faded yellow siding and a small, overgrown garden. The curtains were drawn, giving the house a closed-off, almost secretive feel. Amanda rang the doorbell, the usual cheerful delivery ready on her lips. The woman who answered was a stark contrast to the sunny exterior Amanda had expected. Her face was pale and drawn, her eyes red-rimmed and swollen. She looked like she hadn't slept in days. Her voice, when she spoke, was a barely audible whisper. "Thank you," she managed, taking the package with a trembling hand. "Everything okay?" Amanda asked, her professional smile faltering. The woman's lower lip trembled. My husband," she began, her voice cracking. He's been diagnosed with cancer. Stage 4. It's everywhere." She choked back a sob, her shoulders shaking. We just found out. He's been in so much pain. The doctors, they don't give him much time." She detailed the grueling rounds of chemotherapy, the endless hospital visits, the mounting medical bills, and the crushing weight of their shared fear. The fear in her voice and the utter, bone-weary, exhaustion was palpable. Amanda, caught completely off guard, could only offer a few clumsy words of comfort. I'm so sorry," she stammered, feeling utterly inadequate. "I can't imagine. I'll be praying for you." She wanted to say more, to do something, but the words wouldn't come. The woman offered a weak, watery smile and closed the door. Back in the van, Amanda felt a knot forming in her stomach. The woman's face, etched with pain and despair, haunted her. She tried to focus on her route, on the next delivery, but the image kept flashing in her mind. The woman's words echoed. Stage 4, not much time. 20 more deliveries, 20 more houses, 20 more anonymous interactions. But Amanda couldn't shake the feeling that she'd left something unfinished back at 42 Maple Drive. The internal struggle was intense. Logic dictated that she continue her route. She had a schedule to keep, quotas to meet. Her supervisor, Mr. Henderson, was a stickler for punctuality. A delay could mean a reprimand, even a docked paycheck. But her heart ached for the woman. Amanda recalled her own grandmother's battle with illness, the fear and uncertainty that had consumed their family. The memory amplified her empathy, making it impossible to simply move on. Should I go back? The question gnawed at her. What could I possibly do? I'm just a delivery driver. But another voice, quieter but more insistent, whispered, "You can offer comfort. You can offer a moment of human connection." Then, a wave of clarity washed over her. Today was the anniversary of her grandfather's passing. He had always taught her the importance of kindness, of reaching out to those in need. It felt like a sign, a divine nudge. The decision, once made, filled her with a sense of purpose, even a strange sort of peace, mixed with nervous apprehension. Amanda put the van in reverse, the tires crunching on the gravel driveway. She ignored the nagging voice of practicality and turned the vehicle around. The street looked different on the return journey. The shadows seemed deeper, the houses more somber. The wind had picked up, rustling the leaves in a mournful whisper. Amanda parked in front of 42 Maple Drive, her heart pounding in her chest. She had grabbed a small bouquet of sunflowers from a local grocery store on the quick detour, a splash of color against the grayness of the day. A simple gesture, but one she hoped would convey her sincerity. She walked to the door, the sunflowers clutched in her hand. She hesitated for a moment, taking a deep breath before ringing the bell. The wait felt like an eternity. When the door opened, the woman's face registered surprise, followed by a flicker of confusion, and then, finally, a wave of overwhelming emotion. Tears welled up in her eyes, spilling down her cheeks. She didn't say a word, simply stepped forward and wrapped Amanda in a tight embrace. It was a hug that transcended words. A hug of shared grief, of shared humanity. Amanda held the woman close, feeling her body tremble with sobs. The sunflowers were crushed between them, their bright yellow petals a stark contrast to the darkness that surrounded them. After a long moment, the woman pulled back, her face streaked with tears but her eyes shining with a newfound light. "Thank you," she whispered, her voice thick with emotion. "Thank you for coming back." Amanda, her own eyes brimming, offered the sunflowers. I just wanted to let you know that you're not alone," she said, her voice trembling slightly. "I may not know exactly what you're going through, but I can offer you my prayers and my support." She then, led by some inner force, asked, Would you like me to pray with you?" The woman nodded, her grip tightening on Amanda's hand. Amanda, though not particularly religious herself, closed her eyes and began to pray. She prayed for strength, for peace, for comfort. She prayed for the woman's husband, for healing, for a miracle. She prayed for the family, for the courage to face whatever lay ahead. Her words were simple, heartfelt, and filled with genuine compassion. It was a prayer of hope in the face of despair. As Amanda prayed, the woman's sobs subsided. A sense of calm settled over them, a fragile peace in the midst of the storm. Amanda eventually returned to her route, her heart lighter than it had been all day. The remaining deliveries seemed to fly by. She found herself smiling at customers, offering a kind word, taking a genuine interest in their lives. The experience had shifted something within her. She was, indeed, late. Mr. Henderson, true to form, met her at the depot with a frown and a clipboard. But before he could launch into his usual lecture, Amanda explained what had happened. She spoke honestly, without embellishment, simply recounting the events of the day. To her surprise, Mr. Henderson listened patiently. When she finished, he simply nodded. "Sometimes," he said, his voice surprisingly gentle, "there are things more important than schedules. You did a good thing, Amanda." The following weeks brought a subtle but profound change in Amanda's outlook. The restlessness she had felt before was gone, replaced by a sense of purpose. She started volunteering at a local hospice, offering companionship to those facing their final days. She found solace in helping others, in making a small difference in their lives. She understood that even the smallest act of kindness could ripple outwards, creating waves of comfort and hope. Several weeks later, a small, handwritten card arrived at the depot, addressed to Amanda. Inside, in shaky handwriting, was a message from the woman at 42 Maple Drive. Her husband was undergoing a new experimental treatment, and, against all odds, he was responding. The doctors were cautiously optimistic. She wrote, "Your visit, your prayers, they gave me strength when I had none. You reminded me that even in the darkest of times, there is still light, still hope. Thank you, from the bottom of my heart." Amanda kept that card tucked in her visor, a constant reminder of the power of human connection and the enduring strength of the human spirit. It reminded her that even on the most ordinary of delivery routes, extraordinary things could happen.